We have some awesome new models from Seiko. On top of that, we have a bunch of other new watch models that we will cover in today's episode. My name is Oleg, and that right there is Mr. Bond, and this is a weekly YouTube show where we talk about latest models being released. Now let's talk about this new Glashütte Original Panda-Style 70s X chronograph. Glashütte Original released 70s chronograph back in 2014, and ever since then we had quite a few different dial variations. Now for 2025 there is this limited edition watch with a panda-like dial, white dial with a couple of darker subdials, date at the 6 o'clock position, and the power reserve closer to the 12 o'clock position. This watch stayed in essentially the same case. It's made out of stainless steel, 40mm diameter by about 14.1mm case height is this TV-shaped case with the integrated bracelet or strap design, which became very popular now in 2025, and this watch features 100 meters of water resistance. As far as the movement powering this watch is the same in-house caliber 37-02, which beats at 4 Hz, and it comes with 70 hours of power reserve. This is a flyback chronograph movement with a bunch of different complications. As I mentioned, the big date window complication as well as the power reserve. Now, in terms of the pricing and availability, this is a limited edition to only 100 pieces, and this is a limited edition for North American market only, so I'm guessing Canada, US, and Mexico. And the price of this watch is $17,900 US. Next, let's talk about the new Hanhart Aquasphere Ocean Fade. Another German watchmaker and another pretty solid watch. This one comes from Hanhart. I actually checked out these watches at the Vancouver Timepieces show, and I'm pretty impressed with the overall build quality. There's almost something Breitling-esque about this design, especially with that Arabic numeral at the 12 o'clock position. Now, in terms of the other specs, this one comes in a stainless steel case, 42mm diameter, 13mm case height, and it comes with 300 meters of water resistance. The movement powering this watch is the Saprot P024, which beats at 4 Hz, and it comes with roughly 38 hours of power reserve. This model is available with both black or blue color schemes. I prefer the blue one. I think that looks really good, especially with that integrated rubber strap design. That's the big change between this 2025 version and the version released last year. Last year's version was only available on the stainless steel bracelet. This new version is also available with these integrated rubber strap options. Now, in terms of the pricing and availability, this will not be a limited edition. It's part of the standard catalog, and this watch is around 1,500 euro on the hook strap, or about 1,600 euro on the rubber strap, and you could also get it on the stainless steel bracelet at 1,700 euro. Next, let's talk about the new Seiko Prospex Speedtimer reference SPB 513 and SPB 515. Seiko has been a bit of a hit or miss, but I think all the watch releases this week are a hit, including these new Speedtimers. I like both versions, the cream dial or the gray dial. Both of them I think look great. There is a date at the 4:30 o'clock position, which is not my favorite, but I think in this case it kind of works okay. And actually I talked about the date at the 4:30 in last week's video, and a lot of people said that they like it at that placement, so I guess I'm in a minority disliking this date placement. In terms of the specs, this watch comes in a stainless steel case, 39.5mm diameter, 12mm case height. It comes with that internally rotating count down bezel, so it's not a count up bezel like you would find in a standard diver. This is a count down bezel because this is supposed to be sort of a speed timer, a timing watch, if you will, instead of it being a diver. However, it still comes with 200 meters of water resistance. The movement powering this watch is the in-house caliber 6R55, which beats at 3 Hz, and it comes with 72 hours of power reserve. And in terms of pricing and availability, this will be part of the standard collection. It's not a limited edition, and this watch is around 1,000 euro. Next, let's talk about another Seiko release, another Prospex Speedtimer, but this time it's a mechanical chronograph, reference SRQ055. In 1979, Seiko released their first chronograph, and it became a legendary watch. The Pogue is probably the most recognizable one. However, there are quite a few of these one subdial versions. I actually owned one in my collection for many years. And since that point, Seiko had a bit of a hard time figuring out another good looking mechanical chronograph. They had the Speedtimer Solar, which was very popular and still is very popular, but in terms of mechanical chronographs, they were always missing something until, in my opinion, this model. I really like how this model looks. Now let's get the obvious fact out of the way. It does have some Daytona-esque design elements. However, it is still its own thing. It is very clearly Seiko, especially with that misaligned tachymeter bezel. I think that's pretty funny, and that is quite essential Seiko design element. In terms of the case dimensions, it's about 42mm diameter, so it's on the larger side. It's about 14.6mm in case height and about 49.5mm lug-to-lug distance with 100 meters of water resistance. The water resistance is impressive. The sizing could be shrunken. Make this watch maybe 40mm. I think a lot more people would appreciate that sizing, and also the lug-to-lug distance of 50mm. Yeah, you have to have a larger wrist. In terms of the movement part on this watch is the in-house caliber 8R48, which beats at 4 Hz and it comes with 45 hours of power reserve, and it is an automatic chronograph movement. That's why this watch is a bit on the thicker side. In terms of the pricing and availability, this will be part of the standard catalog. This watch will be available in September 2025 and it costs about 2,800 euro. I think that's a pretty fair price for a mechanical chronograph with an automatic movement. And overall, it's a really good looking watch. I wouldn't be surprised if we will see more dial variations available of this model. And speaking of different dial variations, let's actually talk about this new limited edition Seiko Prospex Speedtimer models. So there are 3 different models available. First, let's talk about the time and date only version. So it is essentially the same as the Speedtimer that I just covered. It comes with a different paint scheme, and it also comes on a different leather strap as opposed to the metal bracelet like on the regular version, and the highlights of red and black. I think that interplay works really well. This one also has the inner rotating count up bezel, and it is powered by the same movement 6R55. It also has exactly the same dimensions. In terms of the pricing and availability, this watch will be limited to 2,500 pieces, so quite a large limited edition, and it's priced at 1,250 euro. But that's not the only limited edition that we got. We also have this mechanical chronograph. It's called the 240Z. Now this watch, again, just like the watch we talked about, it is essentially the same thing as the mechanical chronograph version. However, now it comes in a different paint, and it is also a DLC coated case. I like the design of this watch quite a bit. It comes with those highlights on the bezel. Everything else about the watch is exactly the same case dimensions, the same movement, and a higher price, since this is a DLC coated case, so that comes with a premium. It is also a limited edition to only 500 pieces, so this watch is 3,500 euro. And just to remind you, the standard version that I just talked about is 2,800 euro, so you're paying about 700 euro premium for this limited edition and the DLC coating. But there's one more Datsu edition of the Speedtimer chronograph. This one is the solar chronograph version, also named the 240Z. Now this one is very similar to all the other solar chronographs in the collection. 41mm diameter, 13mm case height. It's powered by the caliber V192 solar powered chronograph movement. Now this will be a pretty large limited edition, 4,000 pieces, and this watch is 1,050 euro. A bit on the expensive side for a solar powered chronograph. However, the limited edition factor, I guess it makes sense that this watch is on the more expensive side. Next, let's talk about the new Atelier Wen Astra model. Atelier Wen is a relatively new watch company. They started in 2018, and the story behind it is kind of interesting. They were started by 2 Frenchmen, but the idea behind the company was to showcase the higher end Chinese watchmaking. So instead of creating a micro brand that creates sort of more affordable timepieces, they went the other route. They wanted to create Chinese watches that are on a higher end to show off how well Chinese companies can make watches. Of course, now in 2025, we all know how well Chinese companies make watches, but back 7 years ago, 6 years ago, that wasn't the case. So it was a pretty smart idea. Now, they had a few different models, and some of those models were quite successful. Now we have this new model with a very interesting case design. The lugs are sort of screwed onto the case, which gives it a very unique look. It is also made out of 904L stainless steel, the same stainless steel as Rolex uses. In terms of the dimensions, it's pretty reasonable. 38mm diameter, 11.3mm case height, and a 46mm lug-to-lug distance. It comes with 100 meters of water resistance, And the star of the show is undoubtedly this dial. It is an enamel dial that is hand finished and hand hammered. Apparently the failure rate for this dial is something like 50%. So 50% of the time they have to throw away the dial and restart the process. And that's why these watches are a bit on the expensive side. Also, the movement powering this watch is kind of a unique movement. Is the caliber EPM 03, which is a French movement that beats at 4 Hz and comes with 65 hours of power reserve. They decided not to go with the Chinese movement for this watch. In terms of the pricing and availability, they're doing this unique release schedule that I personally dislike. The watch is available for a 7-day pre-order window. I think the window is open now. And once you purchase the watch, you will get it in Q2 2026. So the watches will be made over the next 8 months or so. A unique release strategy, it makes it a limited edition. You just don't know how many pieces are made. You don't know how many people order, but after this order window is closed, this watch is no longer available. But I'm guessing they're probably going to release more different color variations of this timepiece. And in terms of the pricing, this watch is a bit on the expensive side. It's $5,850 US. Next, let's talk about the new Union Glashütte Noramis Chronograph limited edition. Union Glashütte is an official partner of Sachsen's Classics car show that runs every year, and pretty much every year we get a special edition of one of their watches. This year is the Noramis Chronograph in this sort of panda-like color variation with almost like engine-turned finish on the dial. I personally am not a huge fan of how this watch looks, but hey, to each their own. It is also on the larger side, just like the Seiko we talked about, 42mm diameter, 14.4mm case height, and 50mm lug-to-lug distance with 100 meters of water resistance. Now this one is powered by the caliber UNG 27.S2, which is essentially a Valjoux 7753. It beats at 4 Hz and it comes with 65 hours of power reserve. It is available on the leather strap, and this is a limited edition to only 350 pieces, and it's about 3,600 euro in terms of its pricing. Next, let's talk about the new Bremont Altitude MB Meteor orange barrel model. Bremont is a British watch brand. I actually reviewed one of their models back in the day, that was many years ago, and for the most part, it was a pretty good watch, just a bit too expensive. Now, this new model is essentially the old model in a new material. So this one comes in a titanium case. The same case dimensions though, 42mm diameter, 12.2mm case height, and a 49mm lug-to-lug distance. It comes with 100 meters of water resistance, and it does come with that inner rotating bezel. There are 2 different dial variations available. Out of the 2, I prefer the dark dial. I think that looks really good, especially with a sort of matte finish to the titanium. And of course, it also has that orange on the barrel of the case. That's why the name is the orange barrel. In terms of the movement powering this watch is the caliber BB14-AH, which is essentially a Joux-Perret G100. It beats at 4 Hz and comes with 68 hours of power reserve. And here's where the things kind of fall apart. Yeah, very ambitious pricing on this one. 6,000 euro for a Bremont with the Joux-Perret movement. That's a lot. I don't know how many they're gonna sell at the retail price. These watches are always available at a pretty great discount on the gray market. So if you do like one of these watches, just ask for a discount or wait for them to pop up on the gray market. They pretty much always do. And that's it for this week's watch releases. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this in the future, and leave a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what watch release stood out to you. I always enjoy reading your comments. Thanks for watching this one, and we'll see you next time.